might be there, maybe. Is it going on that guy?
Yeah.
We'll be up and rolling too. We're going to get our Facebook ready to go too. So now we're both live. So I'm Eddie Hochschlag, and thank you for joining us for our health shop tonight. Tonight we're going to be going over breathing and how it pertains to the nutritional side when it comes to more kind of helping out just the breathing techniques. Dr. Chip's going to go over the physical side, touching a little bit on the nervous system, but of course going back to the breathing. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more of the emotional side and how the breathing affects more of the brain waves. So up first is Dr. Mark.
Great. Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. Tonight we're talking about breathing, and that sounds really simple. People think they can breathe, but just not having to think about it. But the problem becomes that we don't breathe well. We don't use our whole breathing apparatus, and the body works a lot better when we take deep breaths. So one of the handouts in our nutrition response testing technique that I give is an explanation of breathing and how to do it, how to stop and breathe and go through some breathing cycles, especially if you're under a lot of stress. If your body, rather than count to 10, one of those things is stop and breathe if you're kind of exasperated. So we can put that slide up. So breathing, the idea here, the technique is to keeping your tongue on the top of your mouth, just behind your front teeth. So you kind of keep that still. In this exercise, you'll breathe in through your nose and quietly, and out through the mouth. So we inhale through the nose for a count of 4. You hold the breath for a count of 7, and exhale through the mouth to a count of 8. So it's so you're doing 4 cycles of that. Didn't even pass out. So the idea there is when you're breathing in, you're using all your muscles to really expand your lungs. And when you're breathing out, you're using your diaphragm and the abdominal muscles to really squeeze it all out. And that, of course, what's the purpose of breathing? Well, first off, one of the big purposes is detoxing, cleaning all the gases out of your body. When you do that, carbon dioxide is the big one. That is the byproduct of energy production, and that uses oxygen. So when you breathe in, you're bringing in fresh oxygen. Breathing out, you're getting rid of the CO2 buildup. Now, breathing not only helps with breathing, but there's other functions of the body it helps with too. So when you're breathing, you're also working the diaphragm, which is putting different pressures in the abdomen. That's helping the bowels to move and do different things. You're doing a lot with the circulation, again, because you're getting the veins to pump. Veins in your body do not have pressure. They work by your muscles working. So the veins in your legs, of course, only really work very well is if you're moving the legs. That's why if your legs are swollen, you put them up because they drain downhill because they don't really have a positive action pump. So in the abdominal area, chest and things, when you're using a deep breathing, you're actually getting the arteries and especially the veins especially, to work correctly. And a big thing that people really don't even know much about, it's never really discussed in mainstream medicine at all, you probably never heard it from the doctors, is the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system has no positive pressure pumps at all. It only comes from movement and breathing. Is how you get lymphatics to drain. A lot of lymphatics in the throat area, the back of the head, all the armpit, thorax region, groin area, and that can all be influenced by deep breathing. So you're getting a lot of drainage when you breathe. So that's why we have patients do these in cycles, morning and evening, to get them involved with getting the lymphatic drainage to happen, circulation to happen, getting good oxygen in and CO2 out. So that's about all I'm going to talk about today, other than relaying that into a little update on the CCP virus. We're going to call it that now. I've heard that word, COVID virus, whatever you want to look at. I have a thing with the masks. Now, some people have to do it, and that's what it is. I really feel sorry for the medical people who have to wear them all day. But again, the problem is this breathing thing. You're breathing in some of the CO2 that you're breathing out, and it actually weakens you. So just to be aware of that, if you have to wear a mask, try not to wear it as much as you can. I mean, you have to do what you got to do. And then, I see a lot of people in stores now are bringing them down under their nose so they can bring in fresh air and then breathe out through the mouth, and that kind of makes it a little different. So if you get into the actual science of masks, they don't really help much with the virus. The virus can get through all that material unless you get one of the really good ones that you have to almost be hooked up to an oxygen pump with. The thing that they do help with is the droplets that people talk when they spit a little droplet when they talk, especially if you have spacing in your teeth like I do, so to be kind of careful of that. So the masks have a purpose there. But otherwise, just being aware, you've probably heard the stories already of people passing out in their cars because they're wearing a mask in their cars, which I really don't know why they would do that, but they get the CO2 buildup, they start getting faint, and they actually pass out from lack of oxygen, CO2 buildup. And again, it's this breathing thing. Of course, when you're fearful and all kinds of other things are going on, you breathe shallow. We want to try to get that breathing technique in where you're really bringing it in and really bringing it out. And also you can even think of meditative states where you're blowing out all your day's anxiety. You're breathing in fresh air, new start, and you're blowing out all the anxiety and stress of the day. So that's enough for me. We'll turn it over to Dr. Chip, and he'll go into some more good information.
Hello, hello. So I'll be talking about the nervous system and how it relates to breathing. And nervous system, again, being the organ between your ears, the brain. So, breathing fun facts. So you inhale 2 million liters of air per day. And that air is, within seconds, is transported to every cell of your body. Another fact is you can't live very long without it. So would it be important to know kind of how to breathe or why it's important to breathe? Of course. And again, we talk about the foods we eat, we talk about the exercise we do, we talk about a lot of different things, but a lot of people forget about just simple breathing can help a lot of different bodily functions and help you to be healthy. Now again, just kind of going back to what can change our breath, what can make us breathe shorter, longer, or just kind of affect our breathing in any way. So there's 3 kinds of stress. Again, the physical trauma. So again, it's kind of like if you got hurt or you fell down, you would start breathing heavy, or maybe you got scared by somebody, you would stop breathing. Or if you had to run away from somebody, you would have to breathe a lot. The nutrition chemical, it could be that you breathe in chemicals and then your body doesn't like it, so it tries to breathe it out. Or you ate wrong foods, that could kind of mess up the breathing a little bit. But that's just 2 different forms. And then again, your emotional and thoughts. And so it could be anything from thinking that you have to do a public speech, to thinking about what you're going to say to your coworker, to thinking, did I just say the right thing? That can all affect your breathing in such a way to where now it's going to affect your health in such a way. So why we are talking about breathing, kind of breathing in the nervous system. You have a autonomic nervous system. And why this system is important is that this is a system that goes or promotes everything without you thinking of it. So like breathing. Again, if you had to think about breathing all the time, that would be very exhausting. That wouldn't be a very fun life. I mean, if you had to just talk to people and then be like, okay, I gotta breathe 1 second, that would be very exhausting. So again, we have this awesome autonomic nervous system that helps us relay and helps us to breathe without us thinking about it. But what really affects that breathing is there's 2 different kind of nervous systems, but they're associated with the autonomic nervous system. You could say the sympathetic nervous system, again, your freeze, your fight or flight. So again, just kind of that being scared by somebody, or you have to run away from something, kind of a fire, all that. The parasympathetic system being the other way. So again, we can get to a point where you could say that we're not eating the right foods, we're being stressed out too much, to where we can't even get out of bed because we're not breathing enough. So again, it's just all about balance and why that's very important. Now again, the brain has a lot to do with how we breathe. So just like that stress, just like the autonomic nervous system, we want to make sure that we're very well in tune with our brains and helping our brain communicate with our body very well so that we're able to breathe very well. And how to do that, like Dr. Mark explained, is a good simple breathing technique or just being aware of your breath. You could be having a stressful event and just think, okay, how am I breathing right now? Just that awareness gets you to think about the breath, so now you're actually regulating yourself again. So it's really about self-regulating yourself so that you're not reacting to so many things outside of you. And when you do this over time, you get better and better at it. And it's just a practice. So just like anything in life, whatever stresses you, could be kids, could be parents, could be everything. Just make sure that you kind of notice that throughout the day. Is if you feel like your breathing is getting much more, or you feel like you can't breathe, just come back to yourself, come back to kind of be aware of yourself and think, how am I breathing right now? So again, just some quick tips is that, again, breathing is very important because it gets oxygen to all the body cells, gets the blood circulated to where oxygen's flowing through the blood so that we're getting all the nutrients to every cell of our body. It helps us to focus. Again, just being aware of how we're breathing can help bring back the focus of a certain task or event or even a person. So being kind of present in the moment there. Slow and steady kind of wins the race. We get really caught up in this busy, hurried lifestyle, and that doesn't really give us a good opportunity to breathe sufficiently. So again, slow and steady can be very simple. How Dr. Mark explained it, just breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth in a very slow, steady state. Then breathing with the diaphragm, of course. The diaphragm helps us to get back in that parasympathetic mode. So if it feels like we're very stressed out, feels like we're kind of that busy, hurry lifestyle, we tend to breathe with our chest and kind of these muscles here. And so a lot of people say, yeah, I'm really tense, Doc, my neck is tense, I'm really tight, I just don't know what's going on. It's usually because you're breathing and you're using those muscles a lot all day. So when you think about that, when you notice that, it just kind of help kind of release the shoulders a little bit and start using your diaphragm to really expand. And what that does is the diaphragm is a muscle that pulls down the lung tissue and it opens up the lungs so where you can have a lot more capacity to breathe. So that activates that parasympathetic nervous system to help everything be regulated. So it kind of decreases your blood pressure, your heart rate, kind of slows everything down and helps regulate every system there. And then your intention, just like Dr. Mark explained, what's your intention when you breathe? Are you breathing in good positive vibes and then breathing out all the worry, stress, or are you just going through the motion, really just kind of making it seem like a workout? Again, you can do that. That's fine. It's just it's good to get a little more intention, and it will help the body and brain to connect with each other to a more coherent state. So I think that is all I have. Eddie is going to take away with the brain waves. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the brain waves, and really if we talk about the brain waves, I want to really call it the mind waves, because when we look at the different brain waves, I always kind of like looking at them as a sense of, our beta waves, or alpha waves, or theta waves, and our delta waves. They're all different types of frequencies. So if we start at the delta, we're really kind of going more of like a very slow brain wave. And this is when we're actually sleeping. Our minds, or I guess you can say that our brains are actually producing these different waves. But once we kind of get kind of awakened and everything in the morning as well as evening, which is a perfect time, which I'll kind of explain a little bit later to kind of help out with the minds. But now this is kind of picking up a little bit more. We're kind of a little deeply relaxed, and we go a little bit more. We're kind of picking up the brain waves, much more frequencies going on. We're going more to a relaxed state, and where the awareness is talking about, where we're putting more awareness and like breath or everything, is when we're getting more alert. And that is where the beta brainwave is coming to a lot of play with this. So if we look at this in the sense of breathing, we can state that if we're very highly alert, we're in this beta wave, but if we go really fast with this beta brain waves, we can find ourselves stressing out, getting frustrated, worrying, anger, all these negative emotions when we get in this very, very high beta brainwave. But if we slow down a little bit, we can find ourselves getting back in this alpha state. We're really kind of lowering and kind of making these brain waves much slower and relaxed. But if you can find yourself, it's really cool, like I'm talking about, when we wake up, we're going this very, very soft kind of wave, and we're kind of speeding things up. And I said right before you go to bed and right when you wake up, this is when you're in this theta. And theta, this brainwave, is very crucial to actually help the minds, what you can do when you're actually in this alpha state. So for instance, we bring up this meditation or anything down the lines of kind of conditioning the mind itself. Right there in that theta brainwave, when you're very deeply relaxed, is actually where the subconscious mind sits. The subconscious mind, the mind, it's not in here, it's somewhere out here in our brain waves. So what they state to do is making sure that when you wake up, put yourself in this very positive state. You know, I love myself, or I love what I'm doing, or anything in a positive nature, and you'll be producing much more relaxed states in beta, so you won't continuously be in that very, very high beta state. When you do more of this relaxation, telling yourself that you're a very relaxed person, you love yourself, or anything down those lines, you'll tend to see kind of keep yourself back in this relaxed state constantly. But if we don't, or we're constantly stressing out more and more, if we're not breathing properly and really getting the autonomic nervous system to relax in that more the parasympathetic kind of rest and digest state, then we can get yourself back in this alpha. If we get very, very high, we're getting this fight or flight state, this very high potential beta waves that's going to kind of keep stressing. And if we keep ourselves in this very, very high beta state, we're not going to be able to repair ourselves. Once we get in our lower states, once we sleep, we're in this repair state. But if we keep ourselves up there, we're not going to allow the body to heal. So we got to make sure, if we can breathe, you know what Dr. Mark was saying, how it relates with the nervous system. If we continuously to breathe and get relaxed, we won't find ourselves in these very, very high beta states if we condition our mind in a much, much more relaxed state all the time. That was a very, very simple way of kind of understanding what breathing does to the actual mind. So if we keep ourselves going in a relaxed state, we won't find ourselves in this very, very stressed out state. So that's all we had for this evening. Our next health shop is going to be about summer fun, and we're actually going to change these up a little bit. We're going to have 3 different dates that we're going to have these health shops. They're going to be around 10 minutes to 15 minutes on each individual day. So for instance, for our next health shop on June 20th, we're going to go over summer fun, but Dr. Mark is going to take the June 20th. And then Dr. Chip is going to take the June 21st, and I'm going to take the June 22nd, all at 6 o'clock, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And it's going to be 10 minutes long, so you can get an understanding if you have a rush, you have a busy schedule, anything down those lines, you can watch us individually, and then we'll kind of alternate. So Dr. Chip will go on the Monday, I'll go on the Tuesday, and Dr. Mark will go on the Wednesday, and we'll continuously create that cycle. And of course, you can always watch us live, which is great, because what's going to happen is we will be actually on the computer watching us do the presentation, so we can answer all your questions that you have for us. So just kind of keep that in mind. Watch it live so you can get answers back right away, or you can watch us on Instagram or Facebook at Natural Health Quincy IL, where we will put these all on YouTube and Brighteon and Natural Health Quincy. You can always call and schedule an appointment with any of us at 217-228-2040, and we're located at 20th and 2000 Jefferson in Quincy, Illinois. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye.